So here we are, back at it, doing a little bit more work to this back half, attaching everything to the frame. There we go, that's much better, I think. So anyway, here we are. We're doing a little bit more of the closing in or capping of this back half setup. I've got the majority of this frame all tacked in place. Again, I'm just tacking it for now, and we're going to set the bed on, we'll set the cab on. Everything's super solid right now, but I don't want to go welding everything completely up until we know for sure that everything's where we want it. So I'll show you where we're at right now. Take a look at this. I'll just turn this around. So I put a back cap on here, I'll call it. It's just really making my own nice big piece of, it's like, you know, becomes like a 2 by 8 or whatever the heck this ends up being, 2 by 10. Right, it's the same thing. It's 2 inches wide. It's just like the rest of my frame rails. So it's just an extension of the 2x3 back half bars to tie it into the factory frame rail. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make a plate that just runs down here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it down, and then we're going to triangulate it down to this bottom corner. And I feel like this triangulation down here is going to act like a gusset. So rather than just welding a gusset in underneath here and leaving it and leaving it almost looking ugly, I'll just cap the whole thing. We're going to weld it along this top edge so you don't have to grind the weld. We'll bring it right down in this area here. I'm going to try to mark these holes because I don't want to necessarily leave these holes in behind, because if water gets in here, I don't want it to creep in behind this plate and start rusting things out. Now I will drill holes in all these different locations wherever I have a cavity, and I'll spray some kind of cavity wax in there because I know it's thick material, but it's already got some rust starting in it, as you can see right there. There's places I can't get the welder into. It kind of welds like crap down inside there. So we'll get cavity wax in all these holes, all these openings once everything's painted and done. We'll put some body plugs in it just to protect everything. But that's where we're at. Gonna get my arts and crafts going again and make up some, some templates out of that construction paper I love to use. We'll get that rolling, and then show you what I do. We'll start welding things up, tacking them on, and getting this thing together. Other than the final welding is just about a wrap. And the next step, of course, is going to be cutting the back up and getting this bed sitting on. See how it goes. much better. I feel much better about that. Not having those holes in the back for moisture and crap to get down in behind all this, you know. There's gonna be a spot for rust. This frame's got enough rust in it. We're gonna hit that with the wire wheel real quick, and then we'll put a weld-through primer on it, both sides. And then I'm gonna pop 2 holes in here, and we'll plug weld it. We'll put a plug weld right there and there, just to tie it to the frame on the inside so it can't buckle and twist. And then this one's gonna be completely welded all the way around the perimeter, so it'll be solid as a rock. It ain't going anywhere. So we got this all ground out. I wish I could have sandblasted this area. It definitely would have been a little bit better than that cut brush did, but we got a really good majority of any surface rust off. Now, anytime there's a patch or anything like that that's going to be completely hidden or trapped where it becomes 2 layers, I like to put on some of this weld-through zinc primer. I know it's not the best thing in the world. This is Proform. I picked this up at some cheapy paint store, but I don't know, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. It makes me feel a little better. There's not just bare metal in behind there. It's going to get moisture on it. I know some of it's going to get burned off when I weld. But we'll just put a little spritz of this on there tonight. Let it dry up. And then we'll come back tomorrow morning. We're going to weld the rest of this stuff up. This stuff kind of goes on powdery. Sort of goes on dry, but it's nice you can weld through it. Maybe it'll give a little bit of coating. And then I'll put it on the back of the, well, actually that's the front. Yep, as the side's gonna face out. So we'll flip that over. I just use a little lacquer thinner on these to get the grease off. Just put a coating on the back. Like I said, it's gonna burn off, but can't possibly hurt to have a little extra protection from corrosion on the back side of this stuff when it's hidden in there. Those of you that know me know that I keep my projects and my cars forever. So I don't want this coming back through, and then you wouldn't want it coming back through if it was for a customer that you were working on their car, or even for yourself. I mean, this extra little step takes, you're seeing it here almost live. It's taking just a few minutes. We'll do a quick coat like this. Saves you or somebody else time down the road. I think it's worth it. Just have a little extra rust, a little extra shot in there. That's it. We'll let that dry tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we'll pop a couple holes in this so we can do little plug welds. Like I said, I just want to get a weld like maybe right here and here. It's kind of my thought. We'll get right out to the side of these spring perch little dents that they got in here from the factory. These will go on. It'll be good. And we'll do a little more weld. We'll get this piece on the outside. And then from that point there, this thing is definitely ready to set down on the ground. Even though it's just tacked and not completely fully welded out, there's no problem with the strength that's there right now. This thing's more than solid to set on the ground. Just double check everything. So after that, we'll get the tires on, we'll get the bed cut out, we'll get the bed on, and then we'll get the cab over here and see what this baby looks like. Rosie, you want to weld? Well, time to do some welding. All right, so we've officially got the entire back half attached to the original frame. As you can see, this is probably a little bit overkill. Right now, it's just everything's just tacked. In case something is wrong with my measurements, we won't have as hard of a time of cutting it out as if everything was welded. But this will eventually all be welded all the way around. Everything here will be welded and done. This tube's got to be welded. We're pretty done with gusseting. I mean, this thing is solid. I guarantee this isn't going anywhere. There's no way. There's absolutely no way this can come apart. I mean, that is super rock solid. So that part's done. Everything turned out perfect. After everything was done and heated and moved and all that, we pulled our tape from our marking points or our constants in the front of the frame to the very back corners. And this thing is still square as when we started. So perfect there. All of our connecting points and everything, perfect. Everything stayed nice and square. Everything stayed level and even, nothing twisted, which I was a little bit worried about. You know, like I said, this isn't really a real frame jig. It's not, you know, nothing's really clamped in or tied down like I think some of these guys have clamps for every little position that they do when they do this all the time. I don't have that here. As you can see, we're using a metal sawhorse in the back to hold the back end of the frame. I just got some, you know, I just used regular washers to stack it, you know, to move everything up and down where it needed to be. And we got it perfect just using some washers and this and that. So it goes to show you can do it in your garage, in a simple garage, no frame rack. You don't need to have a $10,000 rack to build this thing. This is some simple stuff I had laying around, and it turned out 100% straight. So it can be done. The next thing we're going to move on to is we have to cut this back half of this frame off at some point. Number one, it's too high for the bottom of the bed, and I don't want to cut through the bottom of the bed just to accommodate the frame. So we're going to cut it, I think somewhere in this area, we're going to cut a 45, and then we're probably going to end up just flipping that 45 and put it back underneath and have another 45 in the front, or maybe we'll change that angle and make it a little different. Who knows what I'll decide to do in the end. But that's what we're going to start measuring for next. So we're going to get the bed. We're going to take some measurements from the front brace, the front cross member mounting point to the back. We're going to find out where everything needs to be. At that point, you know, we left this cross member, and this cross member's got to go. This was put in here. Obviously, you can see I cut the shock tabs off. This will end up getting taken out and possibly moved up here, or just cut out. I'll use it for something else, and I'll put some new cross members in at some point. But I've got to put the wishbone in. I've got to put the anti-roll bar in. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to go in the way here, so I have to reposition a few things. But for right now, we want to make sure the body's going to fit, and we'll work everything else around that. But the main structure is in. Just another thing, I'm sure some of you might be looking at this saying, what the hell are you going to do with this cross member that's hanging down 12 inches? Well, we knew going into it that this was set up for something totally different. And with our clearance and everything, this cross member has this like 3-inch drop to it, maybe 2.5-inch drop. Well, that thing's gonna be dragging the ground everywhere. So what we'll do, being that our drive shaft height is so high here, I'm gonna end up cutting this out. We'll put a cross member in, a cross brace in of some sort. I'm gonna cut this out and just put a straight bar, drag a 2x3 straight piece in. Plenty of room. The drive shaft's gonna be way up above it, and then we'll just put a drive shaft safety loop up above the top, and then get all our drive line angles correct. So just in case you're wondering what's going on there, if you were to look at it from the ground, you'd see what I'm talking about. The thing hangs down about 2 inches below the frame rail. And we're gonna get this truck nice and low. So stick around. If anybody has any questions, comments, tell me I'm doing it all wrong. I'd love to hear some feedback. I don't do this every day. You know, I listen to my buddies that do this stuff and gave me some good advice. I read a lot. I've been looking into this and just looking at other cars, how they're done. I think I've got it looking pretty damn good, but you know, please make your comments. I want to learn from you. And if you're learning from me, let us know in the comments, all right? Like, subscribe, and let us know what you think. We want to keep going. We've got other projects in the stable here for sure. We've got some really cool projects coming up that we haven't really talked about at all, that if this project goes as good as we're planning and everything works out and you guys give us the feedback and the likes and the thumbs up and all that stuff that we want, and the subscriptions, we have some really cool builds. We have some giveaways. We have some merchandise in the works. So please follow along, and we're going to try to make it happen if you guys help us make it happen.